Hi guys, we're out here with Takota, and this horse has had an extended vacation. It's early spring, we're just coming off of winter, and we've done the groundwork portion, which we made a video of, on how I'll really try to check to make sure that we know where the horse is at, okay? He is a half draft, he's a young horse, I think he's 6 years old, and he's cool, he's a good riding horse, but he can get a little goofy after a time off, okay? So I started with the groundwork, and now we've got his brain where we like it. He's paying attention. So we're going to do the riding part of this, okay? And we've got to go into this with a plan, okay? That's my belief. So in other words, as soon as I get on, I'm going to go through what I call my pre-ride checklist. I'm going to check to see if he's flexing to the left, is he flexing to the right, and then I'm going to go right in and see how the body is moving around, those hips and the ribs. So come along with me on the ride. Okay, so here's how I start that pre-ride checklist. What I'm asking Takota to do, and he had learned this last year before his break, I'm looking for him to just flex and bend to that left side, okay, which he eventually did. Now I'm going to do this to the right, and I'm hoping that he doesn't move his feet, okay? So what I want my horses to always operate with, if I don't have leg specifically asking him, with the button system that I use, which we've made videos of, you can refer back to that. Buttons, 1 is the hip, 2 is the ribs, and 3 is the shoulder, okay? 1 hip, 2 ribs, 3 shoulder, and that goes for both sides, okay? So if I'm not asking with my leg for something lateral, I don't want that horse to move those feet, okay? So he's good with that flex and bend. What I'm gonna do is now check button 1. Okay, which is moving that hind end laterally. So I'll use my left leg back, asking that hip to move over, okay? So little bit of bend here, reach back, asking that hip to step over, good. And I want his hip to stay moving until I stop pushing on that button, so to speak, okay? So there's the left side. Now I'm going to go to the right. I'll put a little bit of bend here with his head, reaching my right leg back, asking that horse's hip to step over. Now he's a little bit tighter here. His front end is moving. There we go. So I held him until he was pivoting on this front shoulder. Now he's a little bit forward. I'm going to come back to flexing him here. If you guys notice, what I'm trying to avoid in everything I'm doing here is I'm not trying to pull on 2 reins. Certainly not trying to hang on that face, okay? I will ask him here in a minute to back up and to flex and all that stuff. But in other words, if I'm gonna be anxious, right, like I'm coming off of an injury here, and if I'm concerned that the horse might be anxious, the worst thing we could do is just pull up tight and hang on 2 reins. That would be completely counterproductive, okay? Now I know his brain is here with me because he's telling me that. Their feet follow their thoughts. So if his thoughts were bouncing all over, case in point there, okay, so we'll ask for that backup. If his thoughts were bouncing all over, which they started to there, his feet would start moving, okay? So we'll ask for this check again. Okay, so this was button 1, moving this way, and button 1, moving this way, okay? Now we're gonna move up a little bit. And this is something that is so very valuable, but it's just overlooked. And people are just not really grasping the real benefits that this next thing can have. And this is our flex and bend circles. This is utilizing button number 2, okay? So right now I have my leg right on button 2, just a little bit. I'm not squeezing this horse really hard. All I'm asking for him to do is to just bend around my leg. Now I'm gonna go the opposite way. So right rein and right leg. Asking for that rib to bend around my leg, okay? Now I'm gonna push a little bit more. Notice, ribs are totally moving over. He learned this pretty good last year. That's why I love to teach my horses this concept. Left leg, ask him to step over here. Widen out, very nice. Okay, lateral, like I always say, lateral is the way you can really get their brain. Much more than forwards will, okay? There is benefit to forward, but my preference to really get that brain is to go lateral. There's a little bit of brace on this left side, and he has not been ridden, like I've said, so some braciness there we need to work out. Okay, now you hear that sound. I jokingly refer, but yet I'm serious to that, as a horse blowing out shenanigans, okay? I've never seen a horse do that while they're bucking or rearing or doing something silly, okay? So what it tells me is his brain is engaged. Okay, there. Now, I'm gonna come back to button 1 at a walk. Before we were doing it in the slower motions. Oh, he's a good boy. Okay, so a little bit of right rein, asking that hip to move over. Now, I'm not cueing. Yes, I'm wearing spurs. I'm not cueing with my spurs, okay? I'm cueing with basically the part of my ankle, right? And the reason that I love moving those hips so much is because if that horse is actively stepping across, like right here, come on, step over a little bit more. They can't buck, they can't bolt, they can't rear. The ugly trifecta that we all are nervous about, okay? Now, I'm gonna come back to my flex and bend circles, and here's what I love about this. When you do this right here, bending that horse's rib out, and that horse is moving around, this is exponentially, physically harder for a horse to do than just walking in a straight line, okay? Because for a horse to do this, they have to soften in the face, okay? Or soften in the jaw. He's bending through the pole, right? Which is the junction of the head and the neck. He's bending all the way through his neck, through his shoulders, and the more I ask him here to widen out and cross his hind at the same time, in essence, we're using all the muscle groups in this horse's body, okay? Much harder than walking straight. So what those horses, it doesn't take them long to do is figure out that if they slow down, that again is easier, okay? So the faster we go in this, the more demanding it is. They don't want to do that, so what they start to do is regulate their own speed. That might come in really handy. You might want to put that in your pocket, okay? So we'll ask him actually to pick up a little bit of a trot here, okay? And I'm gonna ask him to bend. Gage, you might want to move, bud. And I'm gonna ask him to bend now this way, okay? And you're gonna see that Takota, although he knows how to do this, there, see, he wants to slow down. Now I can remind him, okay, if it's new to your horse, you got to teach it to him. There, see, he wants to slow down. But if Takota has already learned this, so what I can remind him is, hey buddy, if you go slower or regulate your own speed and thoughts, this is so much easier, okay? There, so now I'm asking him to walk, and I didn't have to pull him to walk. And what I mean by that is I just sat down deep and asked him to come back to me, and oh my goodness, I let some of that energy melt down, which means he's slowing down. Okay, notice the head is down low, he's blowing out that shenanigans. This horse is focused, okay? So what this can create overall with any horse, well, but certainly a horse that we're not sure where they're gonna be at mentally when we get them back riding and get them back into shape. So maybe this is a new horse that you just don't know anything about, okay? These are great things to teach that horse, remind that horse of maybe, and get the anxieties and that worry and the fear of where that horse might actually be at, and not have to think about that anymore because you know that horse's brain is back with you, okay? So just watch him real quick here. You notice he keeps checking in with me with that left ear. And he's paying attention, and really what this horse is asking me right now is, what's next? I love that question always coming from my horse. If that horse is asking me what's next, what they're not doing is looking for a place to plant me in the dirt. okay? So I hope that really helps you. This is something that is really a main staple in my mindset with working with horses so that I can know where they're at. I hope that helps you. We'll see you down the trip.